Om Shanti and very good afternoon to all of you. आज हम सभी बहुत सुंदर प्लेटफॉर्म पर इकट्ठे हुए हैं। आज का ये जो सेशन है जिसके अंदर हम सिस्टर शिवानी जी से सुनेंगे कि किस तरह से ये जो टाइम चल रहा है, इस टाइम में हम अपनी शक्ति को बढ़ाएं, इंटरनल स्ट्रेंथ को बढ़ाएं और साथ साथ में मेडिटेशन एक्सपीरियंस भी करेंगे। आज हम सभी इतनी सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज के सारे प्रोफेसर सभी एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे इकट्ठे हुए। आज हमारे साथ गलगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी, सुशांत यूनिवर्सिटी, साथ साथ में हमारे साथ एमिटी यूनिवर्सिटी और हमारे साथ और भी यूनिवर्सिटीज, के.आर. मंगलम यूनिवर्सिटी, जी.डी. गोयनका यूनिवर्सिटी, के.आई.आई.टी, ग्रुप ऑफ वर्ल्ड एजुकेशन, हमारे साथ बहुत सारे ग्रुप्स जुड़े हैं और आज सभी प्रोफेसर्स, सभी लीडरशिप टीम हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं। आप सभी का हम तहे दिल से स्वागत करते हैं, अभिनंदन करते हैं, बहुत बहुत वेलकम करते हैं। तो हमारे बीच में, मैं बहुत ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लेती हूँ, हमारे बीच में मिस्टर डी.एन.एस. कुमार जी अवेलेबल हैं, उपस्थित हैं। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगी ब्रदर, आप सिस्टर शिवानी को इंट्रोड्यूस करें और हम आज अपने सेशन की ओर आगे प्रोसीड करें। ओम शांति।
Om Shanti. Sister Divya, thank you. Myself, Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor at Sushant University. Today, we are blessed to have with us a spiritual leader who has been serving the world and helping souls since many years. Sister Shivani has been a practitioner and a teacher of Raja Yoga meditation that is at the heart of the teachings of Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual Organization since 1996. In March 2019, Sister Shivani was awarded the prestigious Nari Shakti Puraskara, the highest civilian honor for women in India, for her role in transforming human behaviors. The award was conferred by His Excellency Mr. Ram Nath Kovind, the Honorable President of India. Since 2017, she has been appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador by the World Psychiatric Association. For her excellence in empowering spiritual consciousness, she was honored with the Woman of the Decade Achievers Award by ASCOM Ladies League in 2014. Sister Shivani's contribution to humankind, the environment and community at large is significant in many ways in inspiring the change and disruption. I, on behalf of Sushant University and other co-universities who have joined this platform to learn from Sister Shivani how to address during this uncertainties and distress time. At the very outset, on behalf of Sushant University and all the universities and my personal behalf, I extend a warm welcome to Sister Shivani and welcoming all the participants here. I request Sister Shivani to address us. Thank you.
Om Shanti, Namaskar, good afternoon, and thank you so much. Let's take a minute of silence and just ask ourselves a simple question. In times when things outside are not in my control, in times when I don't know what tomorrow holds, what's the only one thing which I can take charge of, where all my power lies? There are two worlds. Please see these two worlds very distinctly. One is the world outside, the world of situations, people, everything that's outside of me. And the other world is here inside. The world of my thoughts, my feelings, my intentions, my emotions, my memories. Two worlds, inside and outside. And just throw one question to yourself and just see what is the answer that the mind gives. Which of these two worlds is in my control? The outside world or the inside world? Are both in my control? Is one of them in my control? Or are both not in my control? So number one is inside world. Number two is outside world. Which of these two are in my control? In my control means they would be the way I want it to be. Number one, number two, both or none. Put in the chat box if you feel like writing. Which of these two are in my control? Inner world, outer world, none of them, or both of them? The outer world is situations, people, everything that's happening outside. Actually, even the health of our body, because even that's outside me. And the inner world is everything inside. The outer world is the visible world. The inner world is not visible to anybody. Okay, so we've all got our answers. Note down your answer and keep them with you. And now let's start looking where our power lies. Where our power lies. So now there are two worlds. One is the inside world, one is the outside world. If my outside world is all going perfect, 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 everything perfect, and perfect according to me, which means the weather is according to me, the traffic is according to me, the situations are my way, people are my way. If everything is going my way, then I'm very happy. Then there's nothing to stress about. There's nothing to create panic or anxiety. If everything in my outer world is going my way. Second option, outer world may not be going my way, but if inside I'm thinking the right way, I'm feeling the right way, then I can be calm, stable, and happy, even if things outside are not my way. So at any point of time, I need one out of the two to be my way. At any point of time, I want one out of these two worlds to be in my control. Then we'll be fine. We need only one out of the two worlds. We don't even really need both the worlds to be in our control. But one out of the two worlds has to be our way. If both the worlds are in our way, then to perfect. But the delicate situation becomes when both are not our way, which means situation is also not my way, people are also not my way, and my mind is also not my way. If my mind is also not being my way, not thinking and feeling my way, and it's creating stress and anxiety, it's then that we start feeling helpless. It's like कुछ भी मेरे कंट्रोल में नहीं है, कुछ भी मेरे अनुसार नहीं हो रहा है. That's when we start feeling helpless. And actually, that is what a lot of us have experienced in the last 1 year, and especially in the last 2 months. And that's why the one common emotion that got created in the last 2 months was fear and anxiety, stress. Because कुछ भी हमारे अनुसार नहीं हो रहा था, और यहाँ भी कुछ भी हमारे अनुसार नहीं हो रहा था. So now we need to take a pause. It's time to pause and ask ourselves a simple question. Is my inner world dependent on my outer world? This is one equation that we have to finalize today. When in school and college, we all had to learn up all the equations of maths, chemistry, physics, everything. Important was equation याद करो सारे. So equation याद करना बड़ा important था. क्योंकि अगर equation याद होती, तो जो भी problem आती, equation याद होगी तो problem ठीक हो जाएगी. So important is to learn the equations. So if I remember my equations right, then it doesn't matter which question comes in the exam. I just have to put the equation and then I will get the answer. But I had to get the equation right. In any case, if the equation is wrong, then how much ever I would keep writing under the problem, I will never get the answer right because my equation was wrong. So there are certain equations in life which need to be set right. And if these equations go wrong, then nothing in life turns out to be right. Nothing in the sense we're not feeling right in spite of everything being perfect. So the first equation, and this is a fundamental equation to our emotional health, because as a country and as the world, we have been talking a lot about not just physical health, but there's a lot of concern about mental health in this last 1 year. Mental health was a concern even before last year, but this year it went just like this. It just went exponentially, it rose. The depression, the anxiety disorders, even conflicts in relationships, it went extremely high. And so when we come back to our colleges and universities after a gap of maybe 1.5 years, or maybe it could be a little more than that, when we come back to actually meeting each other, because meeting online and meeting each other is going to be very different. So when we come back to actually meeting each other after a gap of 1.5, 2 years, we will see that some of us may not be the same as what we had left before March 2020. Many of us could have become emotionally stronger in this year. If we use this year to energize ourselves, lead a life of discipline, do a lot of work with ourselves, we are going to come out very strong out of this 1 year. But if we did not take care of our mind and we created fear and anxiety on a almost daily basis, then we will dip a little in our emotional health. And so when all of us come back and you will meet each other and you will meet students, you will see there will be little change in temperaments. Some could even be needing help when they come back to college and university. So it's going to be a time which we have to be prepared for. And so we also need to be sensitized about that so that we're able to see things in ourselves and in others. And most important, handhold. We should be able to help each other on this journey as we move forward. So there are three healths. One is physical health, we have doctors. Mental health, we have doctors. The third one is emotional health. So, physical health, we know how to check and we know who to go to. Mental health, there is awareness now, even though we still are sometimes not aware of the symptoms. But emotional health is something that nobody is talking about yet, and there's no doctor for it. So, there's only one doctor for emotional health, and that is we ourselves. We will have to take care of our emotional health. So, we have to first diagnose our emotional health, and then we have to take care of our emotional health. Why is it so important? Because emotional health is what equals to emotional quotient, is what equals to emotional intelligence. For all of you now who are going to be in college, university, and then pass out of a couple of years and go out into the world, then the industry, the hospitals, the administrative services, every field where you are going to go as a professional, they are looking for high EQ now. They were talking about it even earlier. So, this word emotional quotient and emotional intelligence, we've been hearing it for about 10, 15 years now. But since the last 1 year, now it's like this is very important. So, now it's become more an important topic of interaction and discussion and looking out in people. Because what last year saw was that when situations are not our way, how much do we have as our strength to be able to cope with the situation? So that is emotional quotient. That is emotional intelligence. And so, since the industry and the world is going to look for it, I think very soon the colleges and the universities will have to start doing something about it. Otherwise, who will prepare the students for the high EQ? Who's going to prepare the children to go out into the industry with that emotional intelligence? Because for the last few decades, we've not focused on it. We focused only on the IQ. We were only focusing on performances. So performances are important, but performances are all about the outer world. It's all about how I perform in the outer world. So whether it's academics, whether it's sports, whether it's drama, theater, anything, it's the outer world. Nobody was looking at how I'm performing in my inner world. In fact, I was also not looking at my own mind because everyone was so focused on the outer world. So now, when the industry is going to start looking at the emotional quotient of the candidates, probably even more important than their academics, because last year has shown us that whether I came first in class or whether I topped in every subject does not equal to my coping skill with the situation. They're two different things. They're two different things. So my intelligence and my emotional capacity is completely two different things. So good to focus on this one, which we always do, but now would be important to focus on this one also. So most important thing today, first thing is put it on your priority list. Put it on your priority list. As a student, as a facilitator, as a guide and mentor, and most important, as an institution. As an institution, we will have to put emotional health on a priority list because otherwise, even if we have the best of skills and best of performances, if we start seeing depression, anxiety disorder, panic attacks increasing in students, then are we really actually creating successful people for society? No. Because if they are not able to manage their own minds when a situation comes, then to be a leader of an organization, tomorrow to be a spouse or a parent, then we will not be able to handle so many aspects together. So I have to be groomed right from childhood to be able to manage my emotional health. So, first thing is, let's put it as our priority that now, as an institution, along with performance, we will be focusing on the emotional intelligence of every candidate in our organization, because it's only then that we will truly create leaders for the world, leaders in terms of the high coping skills. They could be a parent tomorrow, but they have to have leadership quality. So then we start putting both on a priority. Second, how do we evaluate emotional health of an individual? How do I evaluate that? What is my EQ? So let's do a little check right now. Just do it for yourself and write it down. Each one of us needs to do it. On a grade of 1 to 10, you don't need to share it with anybody else, but write it down for yourself. On a grade of 1 to 10, let's put 10 as highest emotional health, and 1 is obviously the lowest. Now we will grade ourselves on 1 to 10. What would be the parameter to grade ourselves? The first basic parameter. If my mind is dependent on situations and people for how I am feeling, if my mind is dependent on situations and people for how I am feeling, if I react to situations and I say it's because of them, it's because of them, which means I am not choosing what I'm creating. I'm only reacting in return to the situation. So then the quality of my mind is dependent on the quality of the situation. Very simple way of living life. This life requires no effort here. Just keep reacting to whatever is happening outside. Don't have to do anything here. Zero मेहनत है यहाँ पर. And actually हम कई सालों से zero मेहनत कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. We're just reacting to this situation. So if things go well, we are very excited. कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. If things don't go well, हम उदास हो जाते हैं. कुछ मेहनत करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. चीज ही ठीक नहीं हुई तो उदास तो होना ही था. So we are just reacting to the situations and people's behavior. Now grade yourself on 1 to 10. How often do you find yourself reacting? Reacting meaning your mind is the same quality as the situation. Same. How often do I find myself reacting to the situation? Second, after my reaction, I blame the situation for it, which means the vocabulary would go like, I'm angry because of so and so. I'm irritated because of this person. I'm happy because of her. So it's not that only the negative ones are because of people. Even for me to feel nice, something good has to happen outside. You know, in school, I don't know whether they do it anymore. I think it's very old. But in our school times, we used to be asked to write an essay. Which was the happiest day of your life? Write an essay on that. And automatically, we just wrote a day when something very nice had happened outside. See how the programming happened. The programming happened at that age, that I am happy when something nice has to happen outside. So that was simple coding that happened in my mind. Okay, when things happen nice outside, I'm happy. So by default, if things don't happen nice outside, how can I be happy? So if I can't be happy, then what can I be? I can be angry, I can be stressed, I can be worried. तो ये तो कोडिंग बचपन में ही हो गई थी. आजकल तो दूसरी कोडिंग सिखाते हैं ना बच्चों को, कि 6 साल से तुम वो दूसरी वाली कोडिंग सीख लेते हैं, कंप्यूटर वाली. पता है यहाँ वाली कोडिंग सीखनी पड़ती है पहले, यहाँ वाली कोडिंग. सो ये कोडिंग को चेंज करने की जरूरत है कि माई हैप्पीनेस इज व्हेन परफेक्ट थिंग्स हैपन, एंड व्हेन इम्परफेक्ट थिंग्स हैपन स्ट्रेस इज नॉर्मल. एंड देन व्हेन कोविड हैपेंस, मतलब अगर कोविड हैपेंस, हाउ कैन एनीबडी काम एंड स्टेबल? तो लोगों ने ऐसे बोलना शुरू कर दिया कि ऐसे टाइम पे कैसे हम काम रह सकते हैं. ऐसे इट इज लाइक, अगर कोई उनको बोलेगा नहीं मैं तो बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, मुझे तो कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं हो रहा है, तो उनको बोलेंगे क्यों, आप नॉर्मल नहीं हो, आपको स्ट्रेस नहीं हो रहा, आपको डर नहीं लग रहा. तो एक और मतलब, जिसको स्ट्रेस नहीं हो रहा वो नॉर्मल नहीं है, और जिसको स्ट्रेस हो रहा है वो नॉर्मल है. सो वी आर क्वाइट कंफ्यूज्ड विद आवर इक्वेशंस इन लाइफ, क्वाइट कंफ्यूज्ड. इट्स लाइक सेइंग आप हेल्दी हो, आप बीमार नहीं हो, क्यों आप नॉर्मल नहीं हो, क्या आप बीमार ही नहीं हो? ऐसे वाला हो गया, ऐसे वाला हो गया. तो एवरीवन then accepts stress and anger anxiety as normal. So if I believe that society में ये normal है, and फिर मुझे भी अगर थोड़ा सा create होता है, then I do nothing to heal it, no? Because I'll say ये तो normal है, ये तो normal है. और मेरे आसपास के लोग भी उस टाइम बोलेंगे normal है, normal है. छोटे बच्चों को स्कूल में बोलते हैं तुम्हारा कल एग्जाम है ना, तो स्ट्रेस तो होगा ही. तो बच्चे बोलते हैं नहीं, मेरे को कोई टेंशन नहीं हो रही है. तो ऐसे कैसे टेंशन नहीं हो रही है तुम्हारे को, कल तुम्हारा एग्जाम है. तो उसको सिखाते हैं भाई एग्जाम इक्वल्स टू टेंशन, सिखाया जाता है. अदरवाइज इफ वी वर नॉट टॉट, वी वुड हैव नॉट गॉट स्ट्रेस्ड बिफोर एन एग्जाम. इट्स कंडीशनिंग, दिस इज ऑल कोडिंग दैट हैपेंस हियर. एग्जाम है, स्ट्रेस तो होगा ही. सो फॉर अबाउट 8-10 years we are taught that exam is equal to stress, and then the day before the board exam we are told don't get stressed, don't get stressed. मतलब ऐसे कैसे होगा? So when you said don't get stressed tomorrow your exam. So this is where that little confusion that got created in society, that confusion became our coding. So building emotional health means now recoding. We have to change the coding of this system here. So this is the outer world, this is the inner world. I request you to close your eyes for 10 seconds and just bring on the screen of your mind the last time you got angry, because we'll check. We're not going to believe anything without checking it ourselves. Just check last time jab gussa aaya tha, and look at that scene. Kya hua tha, what happened, who did what. Pura scene dekh lijiye अच्छे से. And then look at how you behaved. It could be आपने मन में कुछ सोचा हो. So how did you think? How did you feel? What did you say to them? How was the body language? And now just rewind the scene. Everything is going to remain same outside. Nothing is going to change. Focus on yourself. Given the chance that this same scene comes today evening, do I have an option to respond another way? Is it possible that I could have responded another way? And see yourself responding another way if you feel it's possible. So how would you speak, and what would you say, and how would your body language be, your behavior with them? Okay. Can you do a quick type in the chat box, yes or no? Is there an option to respond another way in the same scene? Nothing will change in this scene. बिल्कुल वैसे के वैसे गलत काम होगा, वैसे की वैसे गलती होगी. आप ये भी विजुअलाइज कर सकते हो, उससे थोड़ी ज्यादा ही हो जाए. But could I respond another way? Thank you. So we have got our spiritual equation right. Everybody has said yes. Now, this is where everything is getting clear, which means the outer world remains the same, the situation remains the same, but we are saying that we can create a different response in our inner world, which is a simple equation that my inner world is not dependent on my outer world. My inner world is not dependent on my outer world. This is a first equation which every child needs to be taught. And it doesn't matter if I was not taught as a kid, I can learn it now. That my inner world is not dependent on my outer world. So the first thing that we write for ourselves every single day, I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, behavior. This sounds very simple. It sounds very simple, and it'll sound like, yeah, obviously, I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. And yet, within 30 minutes after this webinar, see yourself again blaming somebody or someone for how you are feeling, because it's very deep ingrained. Very deep ingrained. So it'll take us about 8-10 days to completely shift from there. But important is to now start using that equation. I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. People are here. People can do wrong. It's not that people don't do wrong. People can behave wrong. People can work wrong. People can misbehave. People can abuse, but they can do everything standing outside. They cannot get into my mind. They cannot. People can even hit me physically because that power also they can have, but they can't get into my mind. So no one can get into my mind and create my thoughts and feelings. My thoughts and feelings are my creation in response to what they have done. So suppose we're all standing together in college and somebody just walks up and says two lines to you and walks away. Situation. I कुछ बोला और चले गए. चार लोगों के सामने बोल दिया. That was the situation. That's the stimulus. Now your response to what they did will be different. There are many options how to respond. A simple basic reaction could be, मतलब आए और सबके सामने बोल के चले गए. इनको किसी ने पूछा था कि मैं कैसे लग रही हूँ आज, मैं क्या हूँ. इनको who asked for his opinion or her opinion? And opinion देना भी था तो अकेले में बुला के दे सकते थे. सबके सामने देने की क्या जरूरत थी? अब सब लोग मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे? अच्छा, तो माइंड ने बोलना शुरू कर दिया. उन्होंने कितनी लाइन बोली थी? 1-2 लाइन. हम कितनी लाइन बोलेंगे उसके बाद? ये तो चुप ही नहीं होता, उसके बाद बोलता ही जाता है, बोलता ही जाता है, बोलता ही जाता है. But while I'm creating that whole inner conversation, who am I blaming for how I'm feeling? And so another friend of yours walks up to you and says, क्या बात है? मूड खराब? उनकी वजह से. That's it. Immediately the finger goes there and says, you know what she did? You know what she said? And that's where I lose absolutely my responsibility that all that was getting created here was actually my creation. It was my creation. And I say, no, it was because of them. So when I say that my disturbance here was because of them, so for me to be happy, who needs to change? So I said, they need to change. They need to behave properly. They need to learn how to talk. So if I make a list of how many people around me need to change, तो आप देखना कितनी लंबी लिस्ट बनती है. लंबी लिस्ट बनती है. मतलब my spouse needs to change, my children need to change, my colleagues, my students, people on the road don't know how to drive properly, they need to change, the government needs to change, everybody needs to change. Everybody. But we never put our own name on the list. Our name will go on other people's list, but it's never there on our list. This is where the second spiritual equation. If I am the creator of every thought and feeling, then in every situation, for me to be happy, there's only one thing that needs to change, and it's about how I am thinking about the situation. The person who walks up to me, says something, and walks away, they are not in my control. I need to remember the world is not in my control. They're not. Your sibling, your parent, your spouse, what they're going to say to you today at 6 o'clock in the evening is not in your control. But when they say what they say, how I am going to think and feel is completely in my control. And my being happy is not dependent on what they say to me. My being happy is dependent on if I think right in return to what they say to me. This is amazing power. This makes our life extremely powerful, that I'm not dependent on the world. This is called emotional dependence. So, especially for all our children friends today, we love freedom. We love independence. So we got physical independence, we got financial independence, we got social independence. आजकल बच्चे होते हैं हमारे को नहीं बताना हमें क्या करना है हम अपनी जीवन अपने हिसाब से जिएंगे. Nobody can tell me what to wear, what to eat. Who are you to tell me? I'm independent. So we have social independence also. The one independence which is most important, emotional independence. Emotional independence. That means what I'm thinking and feeling is not dependent on how you're going to behave with me. My mind's remote control doesn't lie in anybody else's hands. Nobody can walk up to me and disturb my mind and walk away. I am the master of my mind. I will choose how to think and feel when you do what you do. I will choose how to think and feel when there is COVID outside. I will choose how to think and feel if I don't get admission next where I wanted. I will choose how to think and feel if somebody rejects me in a relationship and walks away. I will choose how I think and feel. I will not say pain is normal. I will not say pain is normal. So, this is emotional independence. So, the more I become emotionally independent, the higher is my EQ. The higher is my EQ because I'm using the right emotion in the right way at the right time. Completely, I am choosing. That is emotional intelligence. Intelligent to choose the right emotion at the right time in the right way. But if I'm reacting to situations, then I'm not choosing the right emotion. And then my EQ is very, very low, very low. Now, if it remained at the level of emotional health, also, it would have been okay. But if I am living on a low emotional health, and then comes a scene in my life, then sometimes it doesn't remain an emotional health issue and it tips to a mental health issue. So, as an institution, a very, very big responsibility now of every facilitator is to focus on emotional health so that none of us ever tip off to a mental health issue. We need to stop these rising numbers and we need to take them like this. We cannot be number one in depression in the world. That's not the sign of a progressive society. We cannot be, but we are. And this has nothing to do with COVID. It was before COVID. It was in 2019. So, number one in depression, a country which is rich in culture, in Sanskriti, in spirituality, in meditation, in yoga, a country who is so rich cannot be high in mental health issues. But the reason we are high, because we are not using all that we have. We only have to start using all that we have. We have this power. We have the power to create institutions and universities where people from all over the world will come now to become emotionally intelligent. Because otherwise, universities are only teaching about the outer world. It's only teaching about the outer world. And so we were traveling all over the world thinking, मुझे यहाँ पढ़ने जाना है, मुझे वहाँ पढ़ने जाना है, मुझे वहाँ पढ़ने जाना है. We have the power to create that for which the world will come here again. The world used to come to India and the world will come back to India to study about how to take care of the inner world because we are rich. We're very rich in that culture, in that Sanskriti, in spirituality and meditation. But for that, simple thing is, first we have to start using it. हमारा प्रोडक्ट है हम यूज करेंगे तब फिर हम उसको सबके साथ शेयर करेंगे so we need to start using it. So first is putting emotional health as a priority. Second is to get the first equation right, that I am the creator of my emotions. Third is which is the emotion which is right for me. So let's prepare a list today, which emotions are healthy emotions and the others are all emotional illnesses. A big mistake that society has made labeled uncomfortable emotions as normal. तो stress, anger, anxiety, ये पूरी list को normal बोल दिया सबने. जब normal बोल देंगे तो फिर उसको change करने की कोशिश नहीं करते. So let's prepare two lists. And if all the children can please write this down, keep this with you forever, and then keep adding more to it, so that you're aware of your emotional health. If stress is this side, then calm and stability is this side. If anger is this side, then understanding people, being respectful to them is health. And this is emotional illness, and this is emotional health. Complaining is this side. ये ठीक नहीं है, वो ठीक नहीं है, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, वैसे नहीं होना चाहिए. Complaining. Gratitude is emotional health. Criticizing people, लोगों की निंदा करते रहना, लोगों की गलतियां ढूंढते रहना. This side, it's a negative emotion. It depletes our energy. Appreciating people, looking at the goodness in them, and motivating people. This side. Comparison. Social media पर जाना और सारा दिन अपना comparison औरों के साथ करना. This is this side. Big depleter. Emotional health, self-respect. Self-respect, knowing my capacity and then doing better than my own capacity, getting better than myself. Worry is this side. Care is this side. Hurt is this side. Forgiveness, forgetting, letting go of the past is this side. Fear is here. Fearless, confidence, this side. Competition is an emotional illness, even if the whole world says it's normal. It's a depleter. It's a big depleter to think that life is a competition. Imagine पूरी जीवन रेस में ही भाग रहे हैं, ये सोच के कि तो कंपटीशन है, रेस चल रही है, और ये रेस खत्म नहीं होती है, ये कॉलेज में भी खत्म नहीं होती है, जीवन भर चलती रहती है ये रेस. कोई एज ही नहीं है जिसपे ये रेस खत्म होती है. लाइफ इज अ कंपटीशन ही बोल दिया. So we are competing in school, we are competing in college, we are competing at work, we are competing at home. We start competing at home. We're competing in seva, we're competing in social work, we are competing in festivals, we're competing in rituals, we compete in everything. उनके घर में कौन से दिए जले थे, उनके घर दिवाली पे कितनी डेकोरेशन हुई थी, उन्होंने क्या किया था, उन्होंने कितना दिया था, हमें भी उतना देना. We're literally competing in every aspect of our life. And that's when we can never be happy here, because there's always someone who has done something more than me. I was like, I'm not good enough because the other person has done better than me. So life is not a competition. Life is about cooperating with each other, sharing, caring, kindness. जो अपने को आता है वो सबके साथ शेयर करना, सबको सिखाना, सबको बताना. ये नहीं डरना कि ओहो उसके नंबर मेरे से ज्यादा आ गए तो सारी अपनी चीजें अपने तक ऐसे पकड़ के रखना, किसी को नहीं बताना. दिस इज स्टैग्नेटिंग एनर्जी. दिस इज स्टैग्नेटिंग एनर्जी. फिर इससे क्या होता है, नंबर तो आ सकते हैं ज्यादा, आ भी जाएंगे, नंबर आ जाएंगे, खुशी नहीं आएगी. खुशी नहीं आएगी because then I focused only on the outer world and I did not take care here. Our original nature is to be a giver. To be a giver. Like Prakriti mein har cheez is for giving. Everything, look at nature, everything is giving. And our nature is also to give. And success, जो हर बच्चा बनना चाहता है, successful. इसका हिंदी वर्ड बहुत अच्छा है, सफलता. सफलता. सफलता मतलब सफल से आया. एंड जब हम कुछ अच्छा करते हैं तो हमारे बड़े क्या कहते हैं, आपका आज का दिन सफल हुआ, आपका ये समय सफल हुआ. That is success, which means I used my time, my life in a worthwhile way in to be able to do something for others. So सफलता means like this. पता नहीं कब हुआ हमने कहा सफलता means like this. कितने आए, कितना कमाया, कितने बड़े गए, कौन सा रोल बना. So we just completely changed the equation of success. And then everybody wants to be successful. So equation ही change कर दी. So now everybody only wants to be an achiever. There's a difference in being an achiever and being successful. Achiever हुआ. So if I come first in class, I'm an achiever. But I can't call myself successful. Successful will be if I'm happy always, I'm perfectly healthy, my relationships are beautiful, I'm taking care of the environment, and I'm an achiever. Then you call yourself successful. But if you're only an achiever, you can't call yourself successful. That's just one part of life. Achievement is one part of life. But because society has projected success in such a way. Every business magazine will only tell us who did well in terms of their achievements. So that started becoming our coding. This is a very recent coding, not more than maybe 40, 50 years. If we go back to our grandparents' generation, sanskar, उस व्यक्ति के संस्कार कैसे हैं वो ज्यादा important था, which means the person was more important than the performance. The person is more important than the performance. Today, nobody is on it. कैसे संस्कार हैं क्या फर्क नहीं पड़ता, करते क्या हैं जी आप करते क्या है, आप कमाते कितना है और आपकी पोजीशन क्या है. Totally performance oriented society. And performance oriented society will not be always a happy society, because it's not that there's a problem with performance. No, performance is very important, but performance without taking care of person, which means मैं कितना कमाऊं is important, मैं कैसे कमाऊं is not important. That's when people started doing anything and everything to only become a performer, only to achieve, compromising on values and principles, not taking care of their lifestyle. किसी को बोलो टाइम पे सो जाना चाहिए, कहते काम पूरा होगा तभी तो सोएंगे ना, which means sleep also becoming dependent on whether I finish my work. खाना खा लो जी, टाइम पे काम खत्म हो जाएगा ना फिर खाना खाएंगे. फैमिली के साथ टाइम मिलेगा तो फैमिली के साथ बैठेंगे. आपको जो अच्छा लगता है वो कर लो, नहीं जी अपने लिए तो अब टाइम ही नहीं मिलता है. Very, very simple equation. Everything in my life started revolving only around my performance because I had to only perform. So then mind health, body health, relationships, everything started taking a compromise. And behavior, we've got the result. We've already seen the result of that. So this COVID has taught us to set our priorities right. And our priorities are health of the mind, health of the body, relationships. Take care of all these three and then go out and perform in the world. Then achieve. We have to achieve, but not achieve only in one thing. Achieve in our health, in our emotional health, physical health, relationships. Not that I'm feeling depressed, my body has diabetes, hypertension, my relationship is on the verge of divorce, but I have achieved, so I'm a successful. No. This is what we will need to change right from institutions. That's the definition of success will need to change right from the educational institution. Person is important more than performance. Sanskar, swabhav, kitni kindness hai, kitna caring and sharing hai, self-discipline kitna hai, संयम kitna hai, aggression, reactions, abusive language, dominating people, manipulating people. Even if a person like that performs and comes first, should not be acknowledged and appreciated by everybody. Because abhi kya ho raha hai? If I come first in my class, everybody appreciates and I will get my awards and everything. But if I'm a kind person, a very caring person, I do a lot for people, but I'm nowhere in the first 10 also. Maybe I'm not even in the first 20. So nobody's talking about me. Nobody's appreciating, nobody's even mentioning my qualities. जब ऐसी society बनती है that values are not appreciated, sanskar is not appreciated, performances, then who will value these values? इसकी कोई value ही नहीं रह जाएगी. भाई इसके बारे में तो कोई बात ही नहीं करता, इसकी तो कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. तो फिर हम क्या बन रहे हैं, क्या कमा रहे हैं, doesn't matter. हमारे संस्कार कैसे, doesn't matter. हमने बैक एंड में क्या सही किया था, क्या नहीं किया था, वो तो दुनिया नहीं देखती है. That's where the mind started taking a toll, because then I created all sorts of things just to perform. So the definition of success will need to change. And as an institution, if we start appreciating sanskar of people, the sanskars, appreciating it, talking about it, acknowledging it, even awarding it, कि जो पूरा साल जिसने एक बार भी गुस्सा नहीं किया, सोचो उसको नंबर मिलने चाहिए कि नहीं इस बात के लिए कि पूरा साल में एक बार भी गुस्सा नहीं किया. कितना कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है पूरे कैंपस के लिए भी, कितनी शांति फैलाई है पूरे कैंपस के अंदर. But we are not doing that. So we need to start doing that, awarding it, giving marks for it, and appreciating it, and most important, publicly talking about it. Talking about it. That all these qualities make you truly successful. Truly successful. नहीं तो क्या होता है, there are two things, IQ and EQ. जो IQ होता है, हर एक का different है. So suppose I have a capacity of, let's say, okay, suppose I have the capacity of 70%. Now I can push myself, I can work hard, but how much will I be able to push myself? From 70, I would take it to 80, I would take it to 85, I would take it to 90. But from 70, I suddenly am not able to jump to 100. It's a very slow pace at which the performance can increase. So in terms of performances, there will always be variation. कोई बहुत अच्छा performance कर रहा है, कोई average and कोई बिल्कुल कम. But in terms of sanskar and emotional quotient, everybody could be the same. You see how people will start feeling better in society. They will not feel lesser than people if we prioritize sanskar. If we prioritize sanskar, because everybody can be without anger. Everybody can be kind. Everybody can be compassionate. So with EQ, we can all be equal. With IQ, there will always be a variation. कि कोई ज़्यादा है, कोई कम है. And so if we want society to accept each other and not feel superior or inferior to each other, it can only happen at the level of sanskar, at the level of our emotional health and spiritual health. So that's another reason why we need to prioritize it. So one is, let's start creating that culture. Now, it's not going to happen as sessions in college, but it's going to happen as a way of living. As a way of living. Simple thing is, when we come back to college physically, we make our campus a no anger zone. कि हमारे campus में कोई गुस्सा नहीं करता किसी पे भी, कोई भी किसी पे भी नहीं. So which means even a student with a student, a staff with a student with a staff, anybody. We don't use anger because anger is an emotional illness. That's not the way we behave with each other. We're respectful. We discipline. Yes, of course, we discipline, but we discipline with respect and dignity. We don't react, and nobody has the permission to react in this campus. Nobody has the permission to use wrong language. Bhasha, our words create our world. We should look at our vocabulary. एक word, कई बार हम बहुत low energy words use कर रहे हैं. That should not be allowed. It should be absolutely, this is not allowed in this campus. Those are the practical skills that we will start creating in the way we are living and working with each other. It's not a theoretical subject. It's a practical way of living. And so then when children pass out from a campus like that after 3 years or 5 years, they will automatically become leaders and parents and spouses who don't use anger as a way of living because they were brought up like that in their school and college. वो natural होने लगेगा. Natural होने लगेगा. Emotional health को strong बनाने के लिए कुछ चीजों का basic ध्यान रखना बहुत जरूरी है. Lifestyle disciplines. Lifestyle. सबसे important चीज है. So we went against nature. We went against our mind, body, brain clock. Now, there is a right time to sleep. There is a right time to wake up. And this is all pure science. So, but we can't go too much in the detail of that right now. The highest energy time to sleep, when the best energizing is going to happen of the mind and the body, is 10 to 2. ये 4 घंटे हमें deep sleep में होना चाहिए. 4 hours. हमें deep sleep में होना चाहिए. If instead of 10, I sleep at 11, I lost 1 hour. If I sleep at 12, I lost 2 hours. If I sleep after 2, I lost all the 4 hours. इसीलिए जब ये हम कहते हैं ना आजकल बच्चों को बड़ी एंजाइटी हो रही है, एग्जाम से पहले बड़ी एंजाइटी हो रही है, लेकिन क्यों एंजाइटी हो रही है? एग्जाम तो पहले भी होते थे, शायद इससे भी ज्यादा मुश्किल ही होते थे, इजी नहीं होते थे, मुश्किल ही होता था. Pressure was higher, but there were a lot of lifestyle disciplines which are not being taken care of. So if we just take that little U-turn and go back to who we used to be, nothing new, but go back to who we used to be, we're going to have a very healthy life. So first experiment, early to bed, early to rise, makes a person healthy, wealthy, wise. So late to bed and late to rise will make a person. तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा पढ़ना तो उतनी ही देर है, सोना भी उतनी ही देर है, खाना भी उतनी ही देर में खाना है, लेकिन कितने बजे कर रहे हैं उससे एनर्जी चेंज हो जाएगी। ऐसे तो है नहीं कि देर से सोने से हम कोई कम सोएंगे, उल्टा जल्दी सोने से हम कम सो सकते हैं। दैट इज पॉसिबल। So let's do the right thing in the right way at the right time. That's called intelligent people. Right thing in the right way at the right time. ये नहीं कि किसी घर में 5 बजे कोई उठ रहा है तो दूसरा 5 बजे सो रहा है। ये गुड मॉर्निंग एंड गुड नाइट अलग अलग टाइम पे नहीं हो सकता है हमारा। One is saying good morning, the other is saying good night. So most important for students, let's get our sleep cycle right. Sleep cycle right. I know when we are students, no, it doesn't show anything on our health. So हमें लगता है, oh, I'm very fine. I know. I could say I can stay up without sleeping. I can stay up the whole night. मुझे तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, क्योंकि उस एज में किसी को भी कुछ नहीं होता. But we get a toll of all that many years later. 10, 20 years later, we get a toll of that on our mind and body. So इसलिए we will sleep early. We will sleep early. The other day, I was on a webinar and there was a doctor, and they were all corporates. And that doctor was telling them, okay, 10 o'clock, you should be asleep because the healing of the pancreas and everything he was explaining takes place. And then they were looking at him like that. And then he said, Acha, aap 10 baje nahi so sakte ho? So they said, no, we have to travel. And he said, Acha, to fir koi baat nahi. Fir aap apne diabetes ke saath rehna. Which is simple. Simple answer. Khatam ho gayi baat. मतलब you can't get everything in life. You don't want to do this also, you want to do this also. ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. कुछ करना, because there's a time when that energizing has to happen in the body. So 10 to 2. Now, if I have to sleep at 10, after 9 o'clock, I should not consume any content which is turbulent for the mind. Because 10 o'clock, my mind is going to go into deep sleep. For my mind to go into deep sleep at 10 o'clock, after 8:39, I should not create any turbulence in the mind, which means no content which is disturbing for the mind. Any content, any kind of movie, any kind of serial, any kind of social media content, any kind of message that comes on your phone should not be consumed an hour, hour and a half before we go to sleep. At least 30 minutes before we go to sleep, we should be away from technology. No screens. No screens. It's all these little lifestyle habits which are taking a big toll on us. The other day I was with D.Y. Patil College, medical college. And so there was an Ayurvedic doctor, and he's telling me over there, we were discussing on the webinar, and he says, so you're saying only no screens for 2 hours? I said, yeah, very important. He said, no, only that much is not important. I said, what else is needed? He said, 2 hours pehle we have to dim the lights. I said, we have to dim lights from 8 o'clock onwards to sleep at 10. He said, yes, otherwise the brain and the body is not going to create the melatonin for good sleep. You see, that's where we are supposed to be and where we've reached, that even till 10 o'clock, we're looking at the blue screen. And even if we wake up at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, we still look at the blue screen. So then that's taking a toll with the sleep. And if sleep gets affected on a daily basis, then mental health and physical health issues are normal. They happen. So we go to sleep by 10, 9 o'clock, we disconnect. And we definitely don't look at screens before sleeping. We don't look at emails, messages, what's happening in the world news before sleeping, because then that's the content that goes in the mind. Then we fall off to sleep, but the mind is still thinking all that. So the mind has to be slowed down before going to sleep. So 1 hour before, it's either good music. For children, of course, it's to study. But at least 15 minutes before sleeping, consume something very positive before sleeping. The last layer of information on the blotting paper has to be very pure and positive. That's where it's spiritual study. It's a good book, a self-transformation book, whatever you like, but it has to be pure content just before sleeping. Release whatever has happened during the day before sleeping. It's good to write a diary or a daily journal. Anything troubling, write it out before sleeping, which means मन को खाली करके सोना है. Empty it out. किसी के साथ ठीक व्यवहार नहीं किया, say sorry to them before sleeping. If you can't say it to them, at least in your mind or in your diary, write that sorry to them, which means over here you are apologizing. Apologizing, say sorry to people. Forgive people who were not right to you during the day. Forgive them. उनके सॉरी बोलने की वेट थोड़ी करनी होती है हमें तो अपने वूंड ठीक करने हैं सोने से पहले. Never carry any pain, any wound to sleep. It is only then that it goes into the subconscious. And फिर हम 20 साल बाद भी बोलते हैं मुझे वो वाली बात अभी तक नहीं भूली, उन्होंने उस दिन मुझे ये कहा था. It's because we went to sleep with it. We went to sleep with that wound. So we have to release our wounds and heal our mind before sleeping on a daily basis. On a daily basis, not once in a while. Daily लिख दो, उन्होंने ऐसा बोला, कोई बात नहीं, उनकी नेचर, कोई बात नहीं, उनका मूड खराब होगा, कोई बात नहीं, I forgive. हम बोलते नहीं उसने पर सॉरी नहीं बोला, बट उसके सॉरी की वेट नहीं करनी, दर्द हमारा बढ़ जाता है. So we are going to take the control of our mind. So we write a daily journal, and just before we sleep, we meditate at least for 10 minutes. So we connect with God, we surrender all that happened during the day, we share with God what we have planned for tomorrow, and we surrender. And we just fill our mind with all the purity, power, and love from God and go to sleep. So literally, you are going into a semi-sleep stage before actually going to sleep. So one is to be in a very hyperactive stage before sleeping, and one is to go into a very, very soft, slow state in the mind before going to sleep. So अगर हम mind को slow down करके फिर सोते हैं, तो हम बहुत जल्दी delta stage में चले जाते हैं. बहुत जल्दी delta stage में चले जाते हैं. And if we sleep this way, which means we slow down our mind for 20 minutes, 30 minutes before sleeping, and then we go to sleep, we will automatically wake up between 4 and 5. Automatic, alarm nahi lagana padega. It's natural, because if I sleep right at the right time, I require less number of hours to sleep. Nowadays, our doctors are saying 7 hours so. फिर पहले बोलते थे 7 hours, अब बोलना शुरू किया 8 hours so. फिर कोई बोलते हैं 9 hours so. इतना कैसे कोई सोच सकता है सारा दिन में? But you know why they are saying? They are right. Why they are saying? Because our lifestyle is not right. So we need to sleep longer for all that thing to get processed inside. If we sleep right, nobody can need more than 6 hours. That is a maximum. Otherwise, people is fine with 4 hours, 5 hours, maximum 6 hours. Because a mind goes into the delta stage only twice in one sleep cycle. That is 2 hours and 2 hours, 4 hours. Beyond 4 hours, the mind is not going to go into delta stage, even if I sleep for 8 hours. It's not going to go, which means battery discharge तो 4 घंटे में ही हो जाती है. उसके बाद हमें जितना एक्स्ट्रा सोना है हम सोते रहे. बैटरी नहीं चार्ज होगी उसके बाद, बैटरी भर गई उस 4 घंटे के अंदर. अब उसके बाद तो आप चार्जर से फोन को आप 10 घंटे और लगा के रख लो, लेकिन बैटरी तो पहले ही चार्ज हो गई थी. Same with sleep. Battery is already charged. We are only sleeping extra. तो इसलिए we need less sleep. तो अगर सही सोएंगे तो actually on a daily basis कुछ ना कुछ तो कम से कम 2 hours extra we are gaining on a daily basis. And 2 hours in a day is a big number. 2 hours in a day is a big number. And we are waking up energized. And then we wake up by 4 or 5. So for students who are studying and they have exams, instead of studying till 2 o'clock and then go to sleep, do the other way around. Sleep till 2 o'clock and then wake up at 2 or 3 and then study. It's just going to change everything for you. So आप उतना ही सोएंगे, उतना ही पढ़ेंगे, लेकिन टाइमिंग चेंज करेंगे थोड़ी सी उसकी. So everything will change then. Now, on a normal basis, no exam, you will automatically wake up between 4 and 5. It's called the Brahma Muhurat. Brahma Muhurat. Recently, I've seen on Facebook, people have been giving their workshops, classes, and all, saying the 5 a.m. leadership club, wake up at Brahma Muhurat. बताओ कितनी ancient बात है अपनी ब्रह्म मुहूर्त. Now that's being all packaged as 5 a.m. leadership club ब्रह्म मुहूर्त. ये तो हमारी संस्कृति में है कि 4 to 5 a.m. is the ब्रह्म मुहूर्त, the अमृत वेला. ब्रह्म मुहूर्त means the highest vibrational time. And हमारे कुछ बच्चे ब्रह्म मुहूर्त के टाइम सोने जाते हैं. तो अब आप सोच लो ना, हम कैसे करेंगे फिर? ब्रह्म मुहूर्त के टाइम हम सोने जाएंगे उठने की बजाय, तो फिर चीजें तो ऑपोजिट हो जाती हैं थोड़ी सी. सो इट्स कॉल्ड ब्रह्म मुहूर्त फॉर अ रीजन. इट्स अ मुहूर्त ऑफ द डे. इट्स द मुहूर्त टाइम ऑफ द डे. तो दुनिया में भी कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट होता है तो कहते हैं मुहूर्त के टाइम से पहले पहुंच जाना, लेट नहीं करना. सो मुहूर्त के टाइम उठ जाना. बट इट विल बी अ नेचुरल वेकिंग अप. वी वोंट हैव टू पुश आवरसेल्फ इनटू वेकिंग अप. अब उठने के बाद एटलीस्ट फॉर 1 hour we should not connect to content from the world, which means we don't wake up in the morning with half eyes open switching on our phone. These are small lifestyle habits which we need to change. No one's written that we need to wake up and see the phone as the first thing in our life, but हम सोते ही उसको ऐसे पास में रख के ऐसे, that is what is taking a toll. So सुबह उठें, फोन बाद में ऑन करेंगे 1 घंटे के बाद, एंड सुबह का 1 घंटा अपने लिए रखें. 1 hour for the self. 1 hour for self care. The mind is like a blotting paper in the morning. इसके ऊपर जो हम डालते हैं, it gets absorbed. So don't put the world onto the mind in the first 1 hour. So first, at least 15-20 minutes of meditation. Meditation seeking. Meditation needs to be learned. Meditation is not about closing your eyes and becoming thoughtless. Meditation is to be learned. So at least 15-20 minutes of meditation and at least 20 to 30 minutes of spiritual study. Spiritual study means healthy emotional diet. One more spiritual equation. What we watch, read, listen is who we become. जो हम सुनते, पढ़ते, देखते हैं, वो हम बनते हैं. So all this overthinking, too much thinking, and not very healthy thinking is because of too much content consumption. Now, this is especially for our children. Too much content consumption. So, 30 years back when I was in school and college, why there was no stress, no depression, but there was no content. So it's not that we were different or we were doing anything else. There was just no content. So there was no internet, there was no mobile, there was not even 24/7 TV. So no content, no confusion. कोई clutter था ही नहीं यहाँ पर. तो इसलिए सबसे important चीज जो हर बच्चे को करनी है, restrict content consumption. इसको हम जितनी बार रिपीट करें कॉलेज के अंदर उतना कम है अभी. Talk about it every single day. Restrict content consumption. If we are going to consume content which has ego, lust, greed, jealousy, violence, ridicule, hate, then that's what we start becoming. It's an unhealthy emotional diet. तो अगर इमोशनल डाइट ही अनहेल्दी होगी तो इमोशनल हेल्थ कैसे आएगी? So at least 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. For students, they might say we have to study. Okay, at least 15 minutes in the morning. A healthy emotional diet, which means spiritual content. Content that I want to become. Purity, love, acceptance, unity, compassion, gratitude, faith. सुबह सुबह भर दो. सुबह सुबह की खुराक, मन की खुराक सुबह सुबह. अगर हम 15-20 मिनट सुबह ये खुराक ले लें और 10 मिनट रात को सोने से पहले ये खुराक ले लें और सारा दिन में जो हम खुराक लेते हैं उसको थोड़ा सा बचा लें, 80 to 90% of our all issues of the mind will be over. इतना सिंपल है, इतना सिंपल है. बिकॉज जैसे इट इज फॉर द बॉडी, अगर हम सही डाइट ले लें, हमारी मेजोरिटी बीमारियां तो ऐसे ही ठीक हो जाएंगी. मेजोरिटी बीमारियां ऐसे ही ठीक हो जाएंगी. सो कंटेंट कंजम्पशन has increased multifold, and we are a country who's consuming probably the most content in the world. So we are a very potential candidate for all the applications all over the world. So for everybody, India is the market. So India, in fact, just now, today on the news I was reading, the one country who has spoiled their eyesight the most this year is India. ये आज की न्यूज में था. Eyesight, with all that we have been glued to our screens. So we are highest consumers for all the social media platforms. Highest consumers. Of course, one is because of our numbers of population. It's also how much we are consuming. If we keep consuming content like this, हम अपने मन की स्थिति को नहीं संभाल पाएंगे. अगर कोई जंक फूड ही खाता रहे, जंक फूड खाता ही रहे रोज, ओबीस हो जाए तो भी खाता ही रहे, तो फिर प्रॉब्लम्स तो दिखेंगी ना बॉडी में. इसी तरह जंक कंटेंट कंज्यूम करते ही रहे, ऐसे ही स्क्रॉल करते रहते, स्क्रॉल करते जा रहे हैं हम ऐसे ही। हमें लग रहा है ये टाइम पास है, ये टाइम पास नहीं है, ये टॉक्सिक है, ये टॉक्सिक है। कंटेंट इज इक्वल टू पर्सनालिटी, इज इक्वल टू डेस्टिनी। सिंपल लिख लेना, कंटेंट इज इक्वल टू पर्सनालिटी इज इक्वल टू डेस्टिनी. The kind of content I consume will become my destiny. Now choose what you are going to consume from all these OTT platforms, all these digital platforms. What is their vocabulary? What is the culture that they are trying to promote? What are they trying to sell us? Please remember, it's somebody's business. वो उनका business है, लेकिन वो हमारी destiny है. वो हमारी destiny है. I'm sure most of you must have seen the documentary, The Social Dilemma. मैंने देखी तो नहीं, लेकिन उसका एसेंस मेरे पास आ गया था. And they are all the people who were working in those companies who created all these platforms, all the platforms which we are using today. And they were working in it, and they have been part of the programming teams in creating those platforms. And they have come out openly and they have said, and I'm quoting the exact line, all these platforms are designed to manipulate the mind. ये उनका इंटेंशन था, टू मैनिपुलेट द माइंड, और वो सक्सीड हो गए. वो कहते वो बना ही उस तरह से है. इट हैज बीन मेड टू मैनिपुलेट योर माइंड. इफ आई यूज एन ऐप और अ प्लेटफॉर्म which is designed to manipulate my mind on a daily basis, तो फिर मेरा मन मेरे कंट्रोल में कैसे रहेगा? It has been designed to manipulate. And I'm not using one platform like that. I'm using many, many platforms, all designed to manipulate my mind, all designed to be addictive, all designed to pull my energy back towards them repeatedly. So then, how will I have self discipline? How will I have self control? How will I have emotional and mental health? So please remember, किसी का business है वो सिर्फ, वो किसी का business है, वो हमारा भाग्य बन रहा है, हमारा भाग्य बन रहा है. So even if all your friends are doing it, all your friends are doing it, don't feel bad in saying, okay, I'm no more on XYZ social media handles. So your friends are going to say, oh, how boring, how old fashioned. Say, it's okay. I just chose not to be on them. Simple. That's leadership quality. That's leadership quality. Who's not doing things just because people are doing, who's not doing things just so that people should say that I'm very good, I'm very nice, I'm part of the group, but who's understanding what is right and leading their life that way. Today, due to social pressure, if I do all these things, 20 years later, when I face the consequence of it, my friends or my parents can do nothing for me at that time. I alone will have to face the consequence of what I have done. So please, please be very strict of the content you consume and how much you consume and how much time you spend on all these handles and all these platforms. And what point apne paas rakh lena, they are designed to manipulate my mind. They are designed. At least in student life, we should not be using any of these. Any of these. These were not used, these were not designed for student life actually. ये तो उनके लिए बने थे कि वो अपने फ्रेंड्स से मिलेंगे, वो फ्रेंड्स जो बिछुड़ गए थे, दूर दूर चले गए थे. बट हम तो स्कूल कॉलेज में अपने सब फ्रेंड्स के साथ ही हैं. हमें किसको कनेक्ट करना है सोशल मीडिया पे? We're all connected with our people. So be very strict. Be very strict of the vocabulary you're consuming on all these uncensored digital platforms. ये शब्द नहीं है, ये आपका भाग्य है, because ये आपके संस्कार बन रहे हैं. That words are going in, they are making you, and they will make our destiny. So we take a lot of care. Like we all take care of what we eat and drink, more important is to take care of what we watch, read, and listen. The movies we watch, the songs we listen to, the serials we watch, the social media handles, everything very strict. So sleep is one big factor. Emotional diet is a bigger factor. Bigger factor. When we are having our meals, khana khate samay, never have the phone or the TV on there. But most of us would pick up the plate in one hand and the remote control in the other hand and go and slump on the sofa just before a television and the phone on the third hand next to us. And this is all, this, we actually are literally doing something which is not correct for ourselves. It's only 10 minutes. खाना खाना 10 मिनट है सिर्फ. जैसा अन्न वैसा मन है. जैसा पानी वैसी वाणी है. If I have my plate here, my meal here, and I'm watching something across the screen, then whatever is the quality of that content, that vibration is going into the food. So if I'm watching the news, people shouting, if I'm watching violence, if I'm watching hatred, all that is going into my food. And then from the food, it's going into my mind. So we cannot eat with screens. Distracted eating has toxic effect on mind and on the body. But later on, abhi nahi pata chalega wo. So it's all going to come to us 5-10 years later. So just 10 minutes खाना है. घर में कल्चर बना लीजिए कि खाना खाने के समय नो फोन नो टीवी. नो फोन नो टीवी. बस 10 minutes. उसके बाद हम जाएंगे टीवी के पास. 10 minutes नहीं. Experiment with a sattvic diet, a plant-based diet. Because the vibration of the food are also very, very important, not just nutrients. Vibrations of food are very, very important. Animal in a slaughterhouse. What's the vibration? Animal in a slaughterhouse. Pain, hatred, anxiety, helplessness, fear, and then violence, and then death. How can the death of one be health for another? Death of one cannot be health for another. It can be proteins, but not health. Two things are very different. So experiment with a plant-based diet. It's very healthy for the body, very healthy for the mind also. Then, very important for children, please eat home-cooked food. Please eat home-cooked food. Let's eat out only that once in a while when we are traveling and we don't have access to home-cooked food. Because food that we buy, food that we order, is cooked with the intention of business. So उसमें vibration ही पैसों की है. उसमें vibration ही profit and loss की है. उसको बनाने वाले की मन की स्थिति ही नहीं हमें पता कैसी है. मतलब कोई परेशान हो, निराश हो, उदास हो और खाना बना दे. खाना बनाने के लिए माइंड की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है ना. हम कुछ भी सोचते सोचते खाना बना सकते हैं. So if you just order food, you are consuming emotional infection. Because you're consuming the vibration of an unknown person. जो हमारे लिए खाना बनाते हैं on a daily basis, उनके संस्कार हमारे संस्कारों पर असर डाल देते हैं. That's why the mother of the house always had the maximum impact on the family and the children, because mothers were mostly cooking. So through the food, it is the sanskar, it's the vibration of the mother which goes to the whole family. Now we are ordering food. हमें पता ही नहीं हमारे पास किधर से कौन सी thought processes आ रही हैं. So two things. One, I don't know who's cooking. And second, it's cooked for business. It's cooked for business. We all like prasad. It's cooked in the love of God. तो प्रसाद का ये पूरा opposite है. मतलब prasad is here, so eating out is here. इतना extreme है. That's in the remembrance of God, and this is in the remembrance of money. Deep impact here. Emotional health के लिए, physical health के लिए तो है ही, लेकिन emotional health के लिए घर का खाना, सात्विक खाना, and घर में भी प्यार से बना हुआ खाना. In your kitchen, very powerful tool. In your kitchen, play high energy words throughout the day. Have a music system playing prayers, hymns, mantra, bhajan in the kitchen. You will start having prasad at home. Because high energy words are going into the food, na? And also in the water. Water absorbs vibrations. So have high energy words playing in the kitchen. Energize the food and the water. खाना प्रसाद बन गया, पानी अमृत बन गया. रोज प्रसाद खाइए, अमृत पीजिए. आधे से ज्यादा काम यहाँ का हो जाएगा. इसीलिए पुराने जमाने में, हम उनको पुराने जमाने वाले बोलते हैं ना, पुराने जमाने में लोग अपने पानी की बोतल अपने साथ लेके जाते थे. अपने खाने का डब्बा तो लेके जाते थे, लेकिन अपने पानी की बोतल भी साथ में लेके जाते थे. फिर अब हम लोगों ने उनको बोलना शुरू किया, पानी की बोतल की कौन सा वहम है ये, पानी की बोतल अपने साथ लेके जाते हैं. We didn't understand the science behind why they're doing what they're doing. Well, the reason is wherever you drink water, आप जिस घर का पानी पिएंगे, आप उस घर के में जो चल रहा है उसकी वाइब्रेशन आप कंज्यूम करके आएंगे. इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट. तो अगर किसी के घर में बड़ी स्ट्रेस है, बड़ा टेंशन है, बड़ा झगड़ा है, और अगर आपने पानी पी लिया उधर, इट्स गोइंग टू रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन योर माइंड फॉर सम टाइम. इसीलिए लोग अपने घर का पानी लेके जाते थे. दैट इज द रीजन फॉर इट. इसीलिए दुनिया में आज भी पूछते हैं कौन से शहर का पानी पीते हो, कौन से शहर का पानी पिया है, कौन से घर का नमक खाया है. दिस ऑल मीन्स कि कहाँ का वाइब्रेशन है आपके पास, विच सिटी एंड विच हाउस. बिकॉज नमक एंड पानी, highest absorption, highest absorption of vibrations. So we need to be very careful. Eat home cooked food and eat plant-based diet. And cooking should be done in a very sattvic way with high energy words, and eating the meal without screens, without any technology around us. And just before eating, pause for 5 seconds, connect to the supreme power, say your gratitude, and say your high energy words into the food, and then eat. This is how we were taught even as kids, pray before we eat. But how many of us do that 3 times a day? Pray before we eat. So praying was not because we had to say thank you to God. Praying was actually so that our mind becomes peaceful. Then we put those high energy words into the food, and then we eat an energized meal. That was the reason why we were doing it. So choti choti cheezein hai. First, I am the creator of my thoughts and feelings. Emotional intelligence is my priority. Third, I prepare a list. This is emotional illness. This is emotional health. Prepare a list. Start using this list every time. Prioritize people over performance. Prioritize people over performance. संस्कार ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. हम कैसे कमाते हैं ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, मोर देन हम कितना कमाते हैं. हम कितना कमाते हैं. So let's prioritize sanskar people over performance. Let's appreciate, acknowledge, award sanskar. Sanskar, the kindness, the compassion, the humility in people. It needs public acknowledgement so that everybody feels inspired to use those same sanskars. And then simple lifestyle habits, our sleep cycle, waking up time, restrict content consumption, so taking care of our emotional diet, and then physical diet. So a plant-based diet, home-cooked food, energized food, and mindful eating, not distracted eating, not distracted eating. So let's take a minute of silence and just sit back, and let's program this on our mind today. And then all of us can learn meditation. I know almost all of you are here in Gurgaon, and we have the Om Shanti Retreat Center in Manesar. So it's a very beautiful, high vibrational campus. And so when things get back to normal and we all meet physically in the institution, we should plan a retreat, come to the campus, and see how the energies of a campus can be, because that's also just a campus. Just like all your campus, that's also a campus. A lot of activity happening during the day, but it's how it's being run. So no anger, no gossip, compassion, seva bhav changes the energy of the campus. So we all should come to the campus and then pick up these little things and create a high vibrational campus. High vibrational campus. When we see the success of our institution, we see in all the lovely things that we have set up, our laboratories, our infrastructure, our libraries, everything. And everything is extremely important. But also important is what's the vibration of our campus? What's the energy? Remember, we're going to invite people from all over the world to learn how to take care of their minds in universities. They will come to universities only to learn how to take care of their mind. So sit back and just visualize yourself in the center of the forehead. The energy, like a little tiny point of light. I, the energy, am the master of this body. This body is just my costume. I'm the master. I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. I am the creator. Atmanirbhar. I am the creator. I am a pure, powerful being. Every thought I create is clean, it's selfless. Every word is respectful. And every behavior is beneficial to all. My sanskar, who I am, defines my success. I am a giver. I radiate love, respect, happiness. I give to all. Everything I watch, read, listen, eat, and drink. It's pure, it's sattvic. I am a divine being. Successful always. Om Shanti. Shanti.
थैंक यू शिवानी दीदी जी,
Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने हमें अपना समय दिया, इतना अच्छा सिंप्लीफाइड वे में रूल्स ऑफ लाइफ, स्पिरिचुअलिटी, सक्सेस, एवरीथिंग यू मेड अस क्लियर। सो वेरी वेरी थैंकफुल। बस धन्यवाद आपका। अभी हमारे बीच में
ओम शांति। अभी हमारे बीच में सिस्टर नीलिमा कामरा जी हैं। I would like to tell sister, please welcome Sister Asha and Sister Nilima ji. She is a registrar and owner of group of KIIT World of Education.
आप सबका नमस्कार। मैं किस तरह से आभार व्यक्त करूं कि प्रभु ने ऐसा संयोग बनाया कि आज हम सब एक साथ हैं और हमें इतने अच्छे वचनों का सुनने को मिला शिवानी दीदी से। मुझे ऐसे लगा हमारे पिताजी और हमारे अध्यक्ष कामरा इंस्टीट्यूट के श्री BR कामरा जी बोल रहे हो। एक एक बात जो वो हमें सिखाते आए हैं बचपन से, वो ही हम आपसे शिवानी दीदी बिल्कुल सुन रहे थे और महसूस कर रहे थे कि कितनी जरूरत है आज के समय में इन बातों को अपने चरित्र में लाने की। मेरा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है कि मुझे कहा गया है मैं राजयोगिनी आशा दीदी का स्वागत करूं। वो किसी स्वागत की मोहताज नहीं है, वो एक सौम्य, सक्षम, निर्मल, मार्गदर्शिका, लेखिका, अध्यात्मवादी, समर्पित, दृढ़ निश्चय, आशावाद और धारावाह प्रवक्ता हैं। हम उन्हें जब भी सुनते हैं दिल से बातें आती हैं, हमारे दिल तक छू जाती हैं। हर बार हमें कुछ नया सीखने को मिलता है। हम हर बार इंतजार करते हैं जब हम उनके वचनों को सुनकर अपने आप को और गौरवान्वित कर सके। आशा दीदी, आप एक बहुत बड़ी मार्गदर्शिका हैं, और मैं ये कहूँ कि आप मेरी गुरु हैं तो उसमें भी कुछ गलत नहीं होगा। आपसे हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा है। आप ओम शांति रिट्रीट की निर्देशिका यानी डायरेक्टर हैं और राष्ट्रीय संवर्ग प्रशासन विंग की एजुकेशन एंड रिसर्च फाउंडेशन की डायरेक्टर हैं। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है और हम इंतजार कर रहे हैं आपकी आशीर्वचन लेने के लिए। प्लीज आशा दीदी आए।
Om Shanti. The beautiful program organized in a beautiful way with beautiful talk by Sister Shivani, and in a way she emphasized upon taking charge of our life instead of giving charge of our life out to anyone else. We need to take charge of our own lives. And what she said, one of the things, content, the kind of content that we feed to our mind is very essential. Generally, जब हम बात करते हैं एजुकेशन की, तो मेरे दिमाग में 3 शब्द प्रायः गूंजा करते हैं: लर्न, अनलर्न एंड रीलर्न। लर्न, education, learn from everyone and learn at every moment. There is no end to learning. Learn, learn and learn. और एजुकेशन इसी को मैं मानती हूँ। हम केवल एक लेवल तक आकर के ठहर नहीं जाते। जब हमने मास्टरी किसी चीज में ले ली, एक्सपर्टीज किसी चीज में ले लिया, एंड दैट्स इट, नो। What we are taught in this organization is keep learning, and learning has no end. And second thing is unlearn, because over the years we have fed our minds with different sorts of things. Now all those things need to be unlearned. For instance, I recall once the children of modern school, they were visiting our campus long back. And I was talking to them about tolerance, and that we should be tolerant to each other, accept everyone, appreciate everyone. After the class was over, one of the girls comes up to me and says, "Ma'am, हमको जो ये सिखाया जाता है टिट फॉर टैट कल्चर, ये गलत है?" मैं जवाब उस समय उसको क्या दूं? मैंने कहा, सोच के देखो, आपको उसमें खुशी मिलती है? जिस चीज में, प्यारे भाई और बहनों, आपको खुशी नहीं मिलती, जिस बात में आपको संतोष नहीं मिलता, जिस बात में आपको हिम्मत नहीं आती, आपका उमंग उत्साह नहीं बढ़ता है, वो चीजें हमको अनलर्न करनी ही होंगी। क्योंकि अभी हमारे पास ना तो इतना टाइम है, ना इतनी एनर्जी है, ना इतने रिसोर्सेज हैं। और जो द काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स दैट वी आर फेसिंग, uncertainties, irregularities, so on, we have to equip ourselves with all sorts of those things which enable us to face those circumstances. So I need to declutter my mind. जो सारी इतनी सारी चीजें हैं जो फालतू हैं वो मेरे को निकालनी पड़ेंगी, और जब मैं निकालती हूँ उन चीजों को तो नेचुरली मेरा माइंड ज्यादा एफिशिएंट हो जाता है। मैं आप लोगों से एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछती हूँ। हम कहते हैं मेरा मन ये कहता है, मेरा मन कंट्रोल में नहीं है। मेरा आप सबसे एक सवाल है, आप सच सच बताना, दिल में अपने आप को बताना, आप जिसको कहते हो मेरा मन, क्या वो आपका है? मेरा मन वो आपका है? मेरा मन जिसको कह रहे हो, आपका उसके ऊपर पूरा आधिपत्य है? तो कहाँ है? किसका बन गया? मन आपका और बन गया दूसरों का, दूसरे संसार का। ऐसा कैसे हो गया? तो आपको अपनी चीज वापस लेनी है ना। आपको अपनी चीज वापस लेनी है तो क्या करना होगा? छोटी सी बात करनी है, वो ये है कि अपने आप से कनेक्ट होना हमको सीखना होगा। सारे दिन में, जैसे शिवानी बहन बता रही थी, मॉर्निंग से लेके इवनिंग तक, सारे दिन में मैं अपने आप को कितनी बार पूछ लेती हूँ। हम अपना चेहरा बार बार शीशे में तो देखते हैं, लेकिन मन के दर्पण में भी अपना शीशा देखते हैं, अपने मन को भी देखते हैं थोड़ा थोड़ा। इसको हम लोग कहते हैं, पता नहीं शिवानी दीदी ने बताया या नहीं, हम लोग कहते हैं ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल ऑफ थॉट्स। इस चीज को आप लोग करने की कोशिश करिएगा। After every 2 or 3 hours, sit down deep in silence, open the computer of your mind and just see what is going on there. If everything is going on fine, move on. But if there is something which you feel is not okay and you're not very comfortable with it, give attention to it and keep it aside. If we do this 4 or 5 times a day, I connect with my mind, I empower my mind by reminding it. Because the basic resources that are available with us, जब आप अपनी माइंड से कनेक्ट करते हैं तो आपको एम्प्टी माइंड नहीं मिलता। आपका मन बड़ा सुंदर मन है, आपका मन बड़ा शक्तिशाली मन है। ज्यादा विस्तार में ना जाकर इतना ही कहूंगी, आपके मन के अंदर बहुत सुंदर चीजें हैं, जिसको अगर मैं यूं कहूं, लव, पीस, प्योरिटी, नॉलेज, हैप्पीनेस, ये आपके मन के अंदर बस रहे हैं। ये आपकी कोर क्वालिटीज हैं, ये आपके रियल रिसोर्सेस हैं। इनको एक्सप्रेस करना है मुझे सारे दिन में। ये जो 5 चीजें बताए ना, इनको ही मुझे इंप्रेशन देना है सारे दिन में। फॉर इंस्टेंस, लव, कोई हम किसी से कोई ऐसे नहीं कहें, लेकिन लव का स्लाइटेस्ट एक्सप्रेशन जो मैं अपने साथियों के साथ कर सकती हूँ, वो है आई केयर एंड आई शेयर। आई केयर एंड आई शेयर। डिटेल्स आप सोच लीजिएगा। पीस के साथ, पीस को कैसे एक्सप्रेस करेंगे? आई हार्मोनाइज एंड आई रिकंसाइल। काम आएंगे ना सारे दिन में। कई सारी बातें ऐसी आती हैं जो कि आपकी प्रिय नहीं होती हैं, लेकिन मैंने मन को ऐसा शक्तिशाली बनाना है क्योंकि ये क्वालिटी मेरे अंदर है। So I harmonize and I reconcile. I'm not to disturb my own peace of mind. And third, purity. Purity, how do I express? I respect everyone. and I honor everyone, which comes from the heart. And 4, knowledge, taking charge of the self. I am and I exist. मैं कौन हूं और क्या मेरा कर्तव्य है, इतनी सी बात, छोटा सा ज्ञान. और हैप्पीनेस, आई एक्सप्रेस एंड आई एंजॉय. और एक फॉर्मूला जो सारे दिन में एक सूत्र के माफिक आप यूज कर सकते हैं. कल मैं अपनी क्लास में बता रही थी कि परमात्मा ने हम सबको इतनी सारी चीजें दी हैं. हाउ नाइस इट वुड बी, कीप गिविंग गिफ्ट्स टू एवरीवन थ्रू आउट द डे. जो आपके सामने आए उसको एक गिफ्ट दे दो. गिफ्ट कोई स्थूल रूप से तो नहीं देंगे, लेकिन अपने जीवन का कोई एक्सपीरियंस हो सकता है, अपने जीवन की कोई विजडम की बात हो सकती है, आपने कुछ अच्छा रतन पढ़ा, वो आप शेयर कर सकते हैं. दिस इज द गिफ्ट. और करते करते आप टेलीफोन करते हैं अपने प्रियजनों को, करते भी हैं, रिसीव भी करते हैं. हाउ नाइस इट वुड बी, विच आई डू. तो मैं इसका एक्सपीरियंस सुना रही हूँ कि अगर आप हर एक को जिससे आप बात करें पॉसिबल हो और वो हरी में ना हो, तो आप एक कोई अच्छी सी बात शेयर कर लीजिए. आप उनसे कह सकते हैं शेयर करने के लिए, आप स्वयं भी शेयर कर सकते हैं. तो ये एक हमारी आदत बन जाएगी, और जो हमारे अंदर कंटेंट की बात है वो कंटेंट भी हमारा क्वालिटी वाइज अच्छा होगा. तो आज तो आपके साथ इतनी ही मुलाकात है, और फिर भी मिलेंगे अवश्य, क्योंकि आगे भी आपका बहुत सुंदर कार्यक्रम है. तो मैं आप सबको निमंत्रण देती हूँ. I take this opportunity to invite all of you. What Sister Shivani was saying, visit to the retreat center, planning a retreat at the retreat center, it would be nice. You are always welcome. Always welcome. Thank you. Om Shanti.
थैंक यू दीदी. आपने इतना सुंदर तरीके से हमें बहुत शॉर्ट में कुछ ही शब्दों में बताया कि हमें लाइफ को कैसे लीड करना है. थैंक यू सो मच. नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट मिस्टर धीरेन्द्र परिहार जी, रजिस्ट्रार ऑफ GD गोयनका यूनिवर्सिटी, टू वेलकम आवर ब्रदर मृत्युंजय जी, चेयरपर्सन ऑफ एजुकेशन विंग. प्लीज ब्रदर.
Thank you, Sister Divya. It is my privilege to introduce Rajayogi B.K. Mrtyunjay ji to the audience today. He is Executive Secretary of Brahma Kumaris Mount Abu. He is also Chairman of the Education Wing, which is known as Rajayog Education and Research Foundation. He is also director of a worldwide project which is going on in many countries, which is known as Clean the Mind and Green the Earth. Rajayogi ji is instrumental for spreading the message, divine message, both in the country and abroad. And he has played a key instrumental role in setting up of the Brahma Kumari retreats, which have been earlier mentioned. He has also produced and directed some very interesting, informative, and influential documentary telefilms. Some of them are Who Am I, Divya Jyoti, Divya Darshan, Abu Darshan, and plenty more. Because of his contributions towards humanity, towards society, he has been recognized internationally as well as nationally by the educational institutions and organizations of repute. So institutional organizations like IITs, IIMs, central universities, private and state universities have honored Mrityunjaya ji and have facilitated him for the quantum of work that he has been doing since decades in trying to inculcate good value system in our society, and he continues to serve for the betterment of humanity. With such short introduction, I would now request humbly Rajayogi ji, B.K. Mrityunjay ji, to kindly share his thoughts on the subject of discussion today. Om Shanti.
ओम शांति। आज इस इलेक्ट्रॉनिक माध्यम के द्वारा हमारा गुरुजनों को व शिक्षकों को व टीचर्स को जो विभिन्न कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी से संबंधित है जुड़े हुए हैं, साथ साथ विद्यार्थियों को और प्रजापिता ब्रह्म कुमारी ईश्वरी विश्वविद्यालय के वरिष्ठ हमारा आशा दीदी जी, अभी मैंने शिवानी बहन को भी बात सुना और अन्य मेरे को विशेष करके अभी मेरा स्वागत किया डॉक्टर धीरेन्द्र परिहार जी और नीलिमा बहन, अन्य सभी सदस्यों को मैं अपनी तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ, धन्यवाद देता हूँ, प्रणाम करता हूँ। आज का विषय बहुत सुंदर विषय है। इट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रिलेवेंट एट दिस टाइम। ऐसे विषय पर हम लोगों को चर्चा ही नहीं करना, एक दिशा बनाना है कैसे वर्तमान समय की दुनिया को। मैं जब इस दुनिया को देखता हूँ, इस सृष्टि को देखता हूँ, मुझे क्या लगता है, नंबर वन मुझे ऐसा लगता है द वर्ल्ड इज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन कॉन्शियसनेस। मनुष्य का मस्तिष्क को और आत्मा को, विचारों को क्रिमिनलाइजेशन की तरफ ले जा रहे हैं। नंबर टू, कम्युनलाइजेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन रिलेशनशिप। मानव संबंधों को एक कम्युनलाइजेशन कर रहे हैं, जो उसको वास्तव में करना था, आत्मीकरण करना था, दैवीकरण करना था, उसको कम्युनलाइजेशन। तीसरा जो है मुझे जो लगता है कमर्शियलाइजेशन ऑफ एवरी ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज इंक्लूडिंग रिलेशनशिप। और ऐसे कम्युनलाइजेशन भी हो रहा है और कमर्शियलाइजेशन। हम सबका सोच था इस दुनिया को इसको परिवर्तन करके ह्यूमनाइजेशन करना, मॉरलाइजेशन करना व स्पिरिचुअलाइजेशन करना, उससे भी आगे चल करके इसका डिविनाइजेशन करना। द वेरी पर्पस ऑफ एजुकेशन, irrespective of IT education, science education, health education, any other commercial education, मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन, इन सारी शिक्षा का मूल उद्देश्य यही था। हमारा पेरेंट्स इतने मेहनत करते हैं, हमारा टीचर्स इतने मेहनत करते रहे, हमारा समाज इतने मेहनत करते हैं, परंतु हम उस दिशा में नहीं जा रहे और हमारा पर्पस से अलग हट करके हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। माय ओपिनियन ये है, द वेरी पर्पस ऑफ ऑल एजुकेशन इज टू मेक एन इंडिविजुअल knowledgeable being, because since ages we believe knowledge is power, परंतु आज वो नॉलेज जो पावर व्यक्तिगत का पावर हो, समाज में पावर हो, विश्व में एकता की लाने की पावर हो, वो पावर की बजाय पावर is used for the destruction of mankind, division of mankind, elimination of mankind, not only mankind, ये सारी सृष्टि को एक विनाश की तरफ ले जाने की और अनेक तैयारी हो चुकी है। दूसरा, द वेरी पर्पस ऑफ एजुकेशन टू मेक क्राइम फ्री सोसाइटी। ऐसा नहीं शिक्षा बढ़ते जाए, कानून बढ़ते जाए और क्राइम भी बढ़ते जाए, और क्राइम को देखा जाए आजकल क्राइम हर क्षेत्र में क्राइम है, शिक्षाविदों में क्राइम है और इंस्टीट्यूशन में क्राइम है, सरकार में क्राइम है, अनेक प्रकार की क्राइम है। उसका मुझे 5 मिनट के अंदर बोलना असंभव है। इसके लिए क्राइम फ्री एजुकेशनिस्ट को अपने आप को भी क्राइम फ्री करना मतलब होना चाहिए, परंतु अपने आप के क्राइम कब होता है, मैं समझता हूँ जिनके अंदर क्रोध नहीं आता वो क्राइम फ्री हो सकता, जिनके अंदर हेट्रेडनेस नहीं हो वो क्राइम फ्री हो सकता है, जिनके अंदर जेलस ना हो वो क्राइम फ्री हो सकता है, जिनके अंदर लवफुल है, द वेरी पर्पस ऑफ नॉलेज टू बिकम ए लवफुल। जितना हम सोल कॉन्शियस होगा, गॉड कॉन्शियस होगा, वह हमारा स्वभाव को हम पहचान होगा, तब तो ऑटोमेटिकली क्राइम से मुक्त होता है, क्राइम को एलिमिनेट कर सकता है, क्राइम को वी कैन कीप एट फार डिस्टेंस, और क्राइम को हमारे परिवार और समाज से दूर हो सकता है। परंतु हम क्राइम इंक्रीज हो रहा है। आज की न्यूज में भी देख रहा था मैंने, सोशल मीडिया है, वो सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम द्वारा कितनी क्राइम हो रहा है उसका वर्णन करना संभव नहीं है। परंतु हर मीडिया की भी इसका रोल है, हम देख रहा हूँ, और भी व्यक्ति भी रोल है, इंस्टीट्यूशन भी रोल कर रहा है, और जिस इंस्टीट्यूशन के माध्यम द्वारा समाज को एक न्याय दिखाना था, न्याय देना था, वी हैव एस्टैब्लिश्ड कोर्ट्स आदि आदि। परंतु हम कभी कभी मुझे वंडर लगता है, हमने शिक्षा दे करके, कानून बना करके, डिग्री दे करके जितने भी लॉयर्स को हम तैयारी किया, उसके आगे जजेस को भी तैयारी किया, द लॉ हैज बिकम एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट फॉर क्रिएटिंग मोर एंड मोर क्राइम, ऐसा लगता है मुझे। हमने डिग्री दे करके क्राइम बढ़ोतरी करने के लिए, क्राइम को सपोर्ट करने के लिए, क्राइम को पैटर्नाइज करने के लिए, क्राइम को सोशलाइज करने के लिए, क्राइम को ग्लोबलाइज करने के लिए एक विधि बन चुका है। परंतु इसका विस्तार चर्चा के विषय है, आगे कभी करेंगे। परंतु मेरा दृष्टि से ये तीनों बहुत बड़ी चैलेंजेस इस समय में, बच्चों का चैलेंज है, परिवार का चैलेंज है, सरकार का चैलेंज है, प्रकृति का भी चैलेंज है। ऐसी चैलेंजेस को एक अपॉर्चुनिटी के रूप में रिसीव करते हुए, उसको चैलेंज को रिसीव करते हुए, एक चैलेंज को एक्सेलेंसी में परिवर्तन करने का क्षमता को बढ़ाना चाहिए। वो क्षमता कहाँ से बढ़ेंगे? इट इज नॉट दैट न्यूक्लियर पावर, बट न्यू एंड क्लियर कॉन्शियस पावर। हम आत्मा में न्यू एंड क्लियर कॉन्शियस हो, शुद्ध आत्मा बने, पवित्र आत्मा बने, श्रेष्ठ आत्मा बने, महान आत्मा बने, कल्याणकारी आत्मा बने। हम सच्ची दृष्टि से, सच्ची दिल से परमात्मा का, प्रभु प्रेमी का बच्चा बने। प्रभु प्रेमी, परमात्मा प्रेमी, दिव्यता का मूर्ति बने, तब तो हम समाज में सही दिशा में सेवा कर सकते हैं। परंतु हम वो बात भूल जाते हैं और अलग अलग विषयों पर चले जाता है। इसके लिए आज मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई, शिवानी बहन ने बहुत छोटे छोटे टिप्स के माध्यम द्वारा हम सच्चा एजुकेशन क्या, सच्चा जीवन शैली क्या, सच्ची आहार क्या, सच्चा संकल्प क्या, सच्चा संकल्प का क्रिएट करने की विधि में हमको क्या करना, आदि बातें स्पष्टकरण किया। इसके लिए मैं इतना ही कहेंगे था, नॉलेज जिस पावर कहा जाता है, परंतु आज नॉलेज एक डिस्टॉर्टेड नॉलेज है, जिस नॉलेज के माध्यम द्वारा समाज में विकृतियां बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, और समाज में भय बढ़ते जा रहा है, समाज में केयरलेसनेस बढ़ते जा रहा है, समाज में अनलॉफुल एक्टिविटीज बढ़ते जा रहा है। इससे ये सिद्ध होता है हम जो नॉलेज जिस माध्यम से द्वारा दे रहे हैं, परंतु उसमें कोई ना कोई कमी। आई एम हैप्पी एंड प्राउड एंड आई एम कंटेंटेड। वो जो है ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय जो है, इस समय में गॉडली यूनिवर्सिटी हम कहते हैं, इस ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय एक नया नॉलेज फॉर आवर सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन, न्यू नॉलेज फॉर ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, new knowledge to accept all the challenges and convert into opportunity, and opportunity to turn into an excellency. एक्सेलेंसी के जीवन में एक्सेलेंट गुणों का विकसित करना, और उस गुणों के आधार से समाज को परिवर्तन करके एक बेहतर समाज बनाना, एक अलौकिक समाज बनाना, अर्थात पवित्र समाज बनाना। अभी मेरे आशा बहन जी पवित्रता की महत्व को बता रहे थे। पवित्र मन, पवित्र तन, पवित्र समाज, पवित्र सृष्टि, ये जब होगा तब तो हमको हर एक को सुख मिलेगा, शांति मिलेगा। द वेरी पर्पस ऑफ एजुकेशन इज टू हेल्दी, वेल्दी एंड हैप्पी। इन तीन शब्दों में कहा जाए। आज हेल्थ भी नहीं, वेल्थ भी नहीं, हैप्पीनेस भी नहीं। इसका कारण यही है, हम कहीं ना कहीं हमारा जीवन को सही दृष्टि से समझा नहीं, हमने सही दृष्टि से इस समाज को विकसित करने की विधि नहीं बनाया, और सही परिवारों को हमने बनाया नहीं, क्योंकि परिवार प्लेस ए वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन द सोसाइटी। साथ साथ में हम एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस के माध्यम द्वारा समाज में जो शिक्षा हमको देना चाहिए, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं कमी हो चुकी है। टू मी द कमी जो है स्पिरिचुअलिटी की कमी है, वैल्यूज की कमी है, योग की कमी है, जीवन जीने की कला की पद्धतियों का हमने भूल गया। अभी 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 उन्हें शिवानी बहन ने कहा हम सबको सस्य आहार के बारे में सोचना चाहिए, वो मजबूर किया, परंतु क्या इट इज द ट्रू, इसके बारे में सोचना चाहिए। हम तो क्राइम किसके कहते, किसी को मार करके उसका हमारा पेट का कब्रिस्तान बना दे, उस खाना खा ले और दूसरों को दुख दे करके, चाहे प्राणी हो, पशु हो, पंक्षी हो, उनको अधिकार को छीन करके अपने पेट को भरते हैं, उसको हमारा कब्रिस्तान बनाते हैं। और उनके जीवन में सुख कैसे हो सकता है, शांति कैसे हो सकता है, निर्भय कैसे हो सकता है? दूसरों को भय दे करके, अपवित्र काम करके समाज को उसका लाइसेंस मिलता है, उसका आर्गन, इसका एक गवर्नमेंट की तरफ परमिशन मिलता है। मतलब हमने ये सोसाइटी में ये सभी सिस्टम क्रिएट कर किया, उसका परिणाम स्वरूप हम समाज में दुख है। मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूँ, दुख से, भय से, चिंता से, रोग से, जलस से, हेट्रेडनेस से, एंगर से आदि नकारात्मक जो गुण है, उसका जीवन का एक लक्ष्य बना दिया, वह उसका अपना एक रूप बना दिया, वह हमारा स्वधर्म बना दिया। इसको छोड़ करके हमको ईश्वरीय शिक्षा व आत्मिक शिक्षा व राजयोग की शिक्षा के माध्यम द्वारा पॉजिटिव सोचने की हम शिक्षा लेंगे तो मैं समझता हूँ जल्दी से जल्दी परमात्मा जो क्रिएटर कहा जाता है, और ऐसी क्रिएटर एक नया समाज को, नया विश्व को, नया व्यवस्था को बना रहा है, उसमें हम सब सहयोग दे सकते हैं। स्पेशली एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन दे बिकम, हमारा दादी जानकी दादी सदा कहती थी शेयर, केयर एंड इंस्पायर। ऐसी शिक्षा को शेयर करने से वह उसके माध्यम द्वारा बच्चों को इंस्पायर करते हैं, वह समाज को इंस्पायर करते हैं और उसके माध्यम द्वारा एक बेहतर व्यवस्था बना सकते हैं। ऐसी बनाने के लिए जोड़ने वालों को, विशेष करके जो शिक्षाविदों को और उसमें शिक्षा लेने वाले विद्यार्थियों को, और विशेष आप सब इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को ऑर्गेनाइज किया, इन सबको अपने तहे दिल से हमारा बहुत बहुत शुभकामना देता हूँ, धन्यवाद देता हूँ, बधाई देता हूँ। ये एक्टिविटी कितना भी बड़ा हो उतना भी कम ही लगता है, और बार बार खुशी अपने जीवन में होता है, दूसरों से भी खुशी का ब्लेसिंग मिलता है। इसमें गिव ब्लेसिंग एंड टेक ब्लेसिंग का जो सिद्धांत है और कर्म सिद्धांत उसमें समाया हुआ है, ऐसे सिद्धांतों को अपने जीवन में अपनाएंगे। मैं समझता हूँ एक एक एजुकेटर्स 10-10 आदमी को परिवर्तन करेंगे, हम 10 साल के अंदर भारत को स्वर्ग भूमि बना सकते हैं। एक एक एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन कलेक्टिवली इफ दे मेक एन एफर्ट। हम लोगों ने एक थॉट लैब बनाया, हमारा सारी समस्या का समाधान हमारा मन से है, हमारा संस्कारों में है, हमारा इच्छा में है, हमारा शिक्षा में समाया हुआ, और उस शिक्षा ऐसी दिशा में सीखने के लिए थॉट लैब है। वह इसमें सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन, उस सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन के माध्यम द्वारा हम सारी सृष्टि की समस्या को, पशु पंक्षियों का समस्या को, आहार की समस्या को, व्यवस्था की समस्या को, हर समस्या का समाधान हम मानव दे सकता है। इस समय में हमको परमात्मा खुद उसके लिए ताकत दे रहे हैं, बिकॉज ऐसी ताकत को रिसीव करेंगे, मेंटल पावर, मॉरल पावर, स्पिरिचुअल पावर और डिवाइन पावर को अपना पावर बनाते हैं, और वो व्यक्ति इस समाज के लिए बहुत कुछ दे सकते हैं। मैं इन्हीं शब्दों से आप सबको, विशेष करके हमारा आशा बहन, शिवानी बहन, अन्य सभी बहनों को मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। और इतनी शिक्षा संस्थाएं, यूनिवर्सिटीज जुड़े हुए यूनिवर्सिटी के महानुभावों को, महान शिक्षकों को मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ, नमस्ते। क्योंकि हम लोग सदा बिलीव करते हैं आचार्य देवो भव, सब शिक्षक एक आचार्य है, परंतु केवल आचार्य एजुकेशनिस्ट प्रोफेसर डिग्री से नहीं, हम निजी जीवन की डिग्री से आचार्य बने। और हमको वही मातृदेवो भव कहते हैं, वो मातृ भी है, पितृदेवो भी है, परंतु उसका देवत्व का पद हमारे जीवन में अपनावे। ऐसे पद को अपना करके समाज को सुधारने की दिशा में कार्य करने वालों को प्रणाम। ओम शांति, नमस्ते।
थैंक यू भाई सर, आपने हमें बहुत सुंदर शब्दों में बताया कि किस तरह से हम नॉलेज को प्रैक्टिकली इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं। सो अभी हमारे बीच में डॉक्टर तबरेज अहमद जी हैं, वाइस चांसलर ऑफ जीडी गोयनका यूनिवर्सिटी। मैं आपको ब्रदर इनवाइट करना चाहूंगी फॉर वोट ऑफ थैंक्स।
Thank you, BK Divya. It's a matter of great pleasure and honor to attend this program. It's a great learning for me also. So let me thank BK Shivani for very nice presentation she has made, and very nicely she has presented very important aspect of the life that can really change our perspective, change the quality of life, and bring peace in our life. She has focused on the emotional health. Mostly, generally, we are very materialistic and we forget this part of the health. And ultimately, emotional health may decide our physical health, our mental health, and all the other parts. She mentioned about that we have to respect the person, not the performance. So we are more focused on the performance, and we sometimes forget the person. The person concerned is very important for the quality of life. She mentioned that we have to try to inculcate the positive energy and always shed the negative energy. And mostly on daily basis, we have to try to dissolve all the negative thoughts before going to bed. We have to be more kind of inclusion kind of the personality, to include people, try to appreciate people, and try to always encourage them, try to accept them, and then it will provide a lot of love, compassion, and inclusion kind of the thought process that will be definitely supporting and giving us a lot of positive energy. And also I want to thank uh, BK Asha. Very nicely she mentioned about that kind of the process, that learning, unlearning, relearning. It's very important. I'm great believer. I always quote in my lectures that everybody should always try to be very open for kind of learning. He has to try to always unlearn those things he has learned wrongly in their life, and also try to relearn some new developments and all. So this is a very good idea you have given. And also you mentioned that for the mental peace, we should also always have harmonization and reconciliation. So this way we can always we can maintain our mental peace. I also want to thank BK Mrityunjay. He was focusing on the excellence, because unless and until we have the excellence in every part of life, we cannot reach the zenith. So we should try to always do one of the best thing in our life or career. Then we can reach the highest peak and we can get the excellence. I also want to thank my own registrar, Dr. Parihar. He was mentioning his own thought about that, the quality of life. And also we want to thank the KIT World Education Group, Nilima Kamra. She also mentioned a lot of the items about that, how we are going to maintain the mental peace. So this was a very good program, and we enjoyed a lot. Myself, for the first time, I heard the thoughts of the kind of the quality of life, because I always read a lot of books on the leadership, on the emotional intelligence, and also I'm strong believer about this, because if you see all the religions, all religions talks about the kind of the compassion, the kind of the quality of life, peace, and also try to provide the humanity on the highest kind of the pedestal. And this way, what I see, there's a lot of similarity between the Islam and what we talk today, that both the religions are talking about that. A lot of meeting of the items are there. Both are talking about the mental peace, the humanity, and also trying to give a lot of importance to the human being. So this is a very good program. I must congratulate the organizers, and also I want to thank the Vice Chancellor DNS Kumar from the Shanti University. He has given the welcome address, and also he is a part of the program. I also want to thank Dr. Preeti Bajaj, the Vice Chancellor Galgotia University, and I also want to thank all the participants who very nicely they have actually participated in the program. I think they might have got a lot of benefits. And what I expect, everybody should try to apply in your life. Just by attending the program, listening is not the real objective. Please try to go and apply in your mind if you can make change in your life. Because ultimately we have to focus on ourselves, that what we can change and what is in our control. We cannot depend on the outside world. So remote control should be in our hands, not on the outside world. With these few words, I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank again BK Shivani, BK Asha, BK Divya, and also Mr. Mrityunjay, BK Mrityunjay, Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Dr. DNS Kumar, Dr. Parihar, and then Nilima Kamra, and all the participants. Thank you, all of you.
Brother, thanks to you too. आप इतने समय से हमारे साथ बने हुए हैं from the starting and till the end of the program. Thank you. सिस्टर प्रीति जी हमारे बीच में है, डॉक्टर प्रीति बजाज जी, वाइस चांसलर गलगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी. She also wants to give the expressions of gratitude.
Thank you, Sister Divya. Very good evening to one and all. The world is really going through challenging time and very, very difficult time for all of us. In terms of humanity, probably this is the worst period in last 100 years. And only our positivity can help us to sail smoothly through this period. And who else can be the best person to explain and show us the correct path other than Sister Shivani? So here we all stand, our minds and hearts today guided and enlightened by yourself and then Sister Asha. Sister Asha, I was using these three words: learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I did not knew that those were from you. Thank you so much. Those were really three words which has to be part of everyone's life. I'm sure the session which is being enlightened by all of you became Mrityunjay ji, Sister Asha, and Vikeshwani ji. I'm sure this will help us to be very, very positive in coming time, will help us to be more motivated, and will give us self-healing as well, and a lesson and the path wherein we all can analyze ourselves. The few points which have been mentioned, like we always talk about EQ and IQ, but how difficult it would be to apply on ourselves. It would be difficult, but I'm sure it will not be very difficult. We have to try that, and I'm sure that would give us more positivity and to keep us mentally healthy. On behalf of Delhi-NCR University and the teaching fraternity, and on my behalf, I express the sense of gratitude to Sister B.K. Shivani, Sister Asha, Director ORC, B.K. Mrityunjay ji, B.K. Divya ji, and the entire team of Om Shanti Retreat Center for organizing this motivational talk and allowing Delhi-NCR University to be part of this. And thank you, Dr. Kavita, to organize this at Delhi-NCR. With this, Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. और आप सभी के लिए एक इम्पोर्टेंट अनाउंसमेंट है. हम सभी इस तरह के प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज करते रहेंगे और आपको हम जरूर इसके लिए ईमेल दोबारा भेजेंगे. और हर मंथ अगर हम सभी इस तरह से मिलें तो ये बहुत अच्छा रहेगा. बाकी आप सभी जैसा ठीक समझें. यू कैन टाइप इन चैट बॉक्स कि हम इस प्रोग्राम को किस तरह से ऑर्गेनाइज कर सकते हैं. यू कैन गिव योर आइडियाज इन द चैट बॉक्स एंड वी विल बी very happy to organize this program again and again. So thank you everyone for joining this wonderful program. Thank you so much. We'll finish this program, end this program with 2 minutes of silence. Om Shanti.